and it's one of those. Back to the Future is one of those series where it can have great action, but no.
Hold on,
It's one of those.
Right.
It's one of those series where the action is not violent, the romance is not provocative, and the humor is not crude. It gets on a level where someone from 7 to 70 can enjoy it. And truth be told, that's the way it should be. Although, as far as the WWE is concerned, PG does not work.
No.
It does not work.
Oh, speaking of which, according to their corporate head offices, and just to make a quick point here, they're no longer allowed chair shots to the back of the head. It has to be on the back or any other anatomy, but no longer chair shots to the head.
What?
Yeah, that was my thinking on it as well.
Well,
it's no wonder people are going to TNA.
Yep.
Speaking of which, Benjamin's gone.
No, I'm here.
Yeah, no. Oh. Shelton.
Oh, Shelton's gone.
Yeah.
Okay.
Released.
Ah.
That sucks.
Oh. Yeah.
And someone brought up an interesting question a while ago. Since we've had a decent Ghostbusters movie adaptation brought to video game, why can't the same be done with Back to the Future and actually have the actors reprise their roles?
I guess that could work.
I'd play that game.
I think everybody would play that game. I can't think of one person who wouldn't want to play that. They'd be like, I wouldn't want to see the film, but a game? Yeah, I'll do a game. That would just be more...
as long as they're not crappy like the NES versions.
I think the Angry Video Game Nerd touched upon that, saying how the only segments that actually made sense was when you see Marty skateboarding.
Yeah, that could work if something like that could be arranged and put together. Yeah, I'd be up for that.
Well, they made a huge thing with the Ghostbusters 25th anniversary last year. Granted, I think they could have done a little bit more rather than just releasing onto Blu-ray. Not that I'm complaining, but they could have done, I think rather than just releasing the Back to the Future series on Blu-ray, I think they could do a little bit more. Like, I don't know, how about finally releasing the animated series on DVD? That'd be something. Because that was when they had Dan Castellaneta providing the voice of Doc Brown, and him, Clara, Jules, and Vern are living in '85, as opposed to at the end of Part 3, where they go to whatever time period they came from.
And I might actually watch the animated series once we're done here.
The only actors that actually reprised their roles for that series was Mary Steenburgen.
Yep.
As Clara, and they had Tom F. Wilson reprise his role as Ted. And I don't know what it is about Tom Wilson. He had, I remember reading on his wiki page, he has the look of a stereotypical beefy college jock, but when in real life he's a really gentle giant.
No, he's nothing like Biff at all. He's anything but, Yeah. Actually, speaking of Tom Wilson, MJ, I don't know if he was in an episode of Knight Rider.
Yes, that was Knight in Shining Armor.
Yeah, he was one of the bus. He was one of the bus boys, wasn't he?
I think he said, well, someone had gone, what do you think that guy runs on? Goes, I don't know, maybe he takes, premium unleaded.
Yeah, after he'd done the turbo boost for the train.
That was actually one of the best episodes of season 2, because it kind of touched on some, really sensitive issues that, that were really important to Devon.
Yeah. But
that was really well done.
That was before Biff. He did that.
Mind you, I know when I look back at some of the older episodes, not just with Tom F. Wilson being there. It's when I remember watching Lost Night and then seeing this. At the time I had not seen Hancock with Will Smith in it, and
Jason Bateman.
Yeah, I saw the name pop up and I thought, wait a minute. I thought, wait, he played Doug? But quite a few people, either, one way or another in the 80s, they either got a start on Knight Rider or they got a start Back to the Future. Of course, I looked recently at the most recent pick of Mary Steenburgen, and for 57, she looks amazing.
She does. She very does, yeah.
And married to Ted Danson, lucky git. Mind you, he's aged well, despite the fact he's, pardon the choice of words, a frosty top. Mind you, you look at some of the things that it's probably one of the reasons why they revised some of the things in part 3, because they saw some of the things in part 2 that didn't work, because although they mainly used gimmicks for part 2, you kind of saw in part 3 they had kind of learnt from what they knew didn't work, and for part 3 to send it off properly. And it was kind of symbolic at the end when the DeLorean got destroyed.
As heartbreaking as that was.
Especially
that broke my heart in a million pieces.
Because literally, it did get smashed to millions of pieces.
And it was the first time since part 1 they had the gag with the license plate spinning around on the floor, falling down.
I mean, I think that's why the trilogy...
that was funny.
Yeah, I think that's why the trilogy works, because the time machine did get destroyed, and yet, that's the end of it. Even though Doc came back with one as a train, but still, the original DeLorean is no more.
It kind of... When it got to the point where it was just Marty going on the DeLorean's final journey, it's like, well, that was a wasted effort. He comes all the way from 55 to 1885 to stop the Doc from being killed, and now he's just going back on his own.
You kind of got to think about something. If the Doc travels around in the train, I hope nobody gets run over.
I wouldn't have thought that wouldn't be much of a problem, to be honest with you. It's the start of part 3 where 55 Dog is absolutely frightened out of his skull when he sees Marty show up at his house.
Chris Lloyd's reaction when he sees him in the street, that is just brilliant. I just laugh every time. I mean, but that's how you would react, wouldn't you?
You can't be you. I just sent you back to the... Oh, you did, but I'm back. I'm back from the future. Great Scott!
He just faints in the middle of the street.
in an eccentric fashion, but then again, this is the Doc.
Yeah. And, and then just in the next scene later, when he wakes up and sees Marty in his own house, and then he leans back on the piano and it's playing the Dracula theme, is it?
Yeah.
To make it a bit more spooky and eerie. And then he's like, "You can't be here! I don't believe you are here!" And they just... It's just Marty and Doc just ranting, and that's what makes the films really good. Yeah.
And of course, when they were in the library, going over all the records from 70 years before that, trying to figure out how it is that the Doc could have been shot over a matter of $80. I mean, that is
petty. Still there?
Yeah. I mean, that was kind of petty, Shot in the bag over a matter of $80. What kind of future do you call that?
What I did find sweet was Doc's dog Copernicus. He spotted the tombstone first.
Yeah.
And it was just like what's he so upset
That's
about?
weird.
And he's just sitting there like morning, and you're like, it's like that's just nice, a faithful dog. Yeah.
I mean, it was just that. I think it's just as well they went with the idea of the DeLorean on the tracks, because if it had been a situation where Marty had not inadvertently ripped the fuel line, it wouldn't have been much of a movie.
I think I mean, that's where I think the films succeed again, how it wasn't always so easy to time travel. They had to come up with different ways to use the DeLorean. I mean, in the first one, you have to use the lightning bolts. In part 3, you had to use the rail tracks. That's what made it more exciting. You didn't just have to drive up to 88 and that would be it. There actually had to be another innovative way to try and time travel.
Yeah. And then in part 2, he used Mr. Fusion.
Yeah.
That does seem to make sense, the idea that he would acquire technology from the future to replace the plutonium rods, because at some stage he knew that was going to run out.
Yeah.